Miss Faye Whaley. She went to Europe and she found out about the Holocaust and took some pictures, and she's going to tell a story about one lucky boy that made it through, and she's going to go into detail about the camps and what they went through and share everything that they have with us. They are.
And Miss Joanne Smith, right?
Yeah.
And this one, Joanne, is the next meeting. And
then the library,
Yeah.
Kenton County Library in Erlanger, on May 4th, are having, the Historical Society is going to have a little table there, and it's going to be asking people to bring anything from home stories, pictures they want to share, anything to do with the city of Elsmere to put in the book.
oh, fantastic.
So, yeah, anything, how your life was here.
And the date on that again is?
It's May 4th at the Kenton County Library in Erlanger.
And the time is?
8 to 2.
8 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Yes.
And this one here is
This one
next
is
meeting?
this one is 7:30 on May 9th, and it's here at Dell Avenue, for the Community Center for Elsmere.
for Elsmere.
Yes.
And you are?
Joanne Barnett Smith with the City of Elsmere and the Vice President of the Historical Society.
And you do a beautiful job, and I'm
thank
very
you.
proud of you. And I'll tell
Thank-
Holly you
And
said
Pam,
hello,
hi,
and Pamela you
tell
said
'em-
hello.
Tell them say hello.
And June, my wife, sent him a little note today telling him I was going to be over here. So
Small world.
It is a
isn't
small
it?
world,
It's
isn't it?
small. I'm telling you.
well, God bless you, and thank you so
are you
much
be at
for
the
having
Kenton
me.
County Fair again?
Well, with the good Lord's help,
Okay,
and
I'll see you there.
if my health holds up, I will be there.
That's the last time I saw you. We had a
Yeah.
picture taken there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Well, God bless you, and you have a great day.
You too.
Take
And
care
you
now.
Take care of yourself.
And what's the telephone number where people could reach you?
859-802-5353 for the Historical Society or the City of Elsmere Councilwoman.
Okay, fantastic. And that number one more time is?
859-802-5353.
Fantastic. God bless you and have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
So there's scenes. Yeah, there's different scenes on the areas on the breakers. And so there's a few tablets and there's a few snowmen.
Yeah, and his aunt was.
Oh, and that couch. He loves snowboarding. Sometimes they call them mermaids. No, say that.
You know, now revamping all of our finances. Big shows, basically, all of our finances. And now we have to pull all of that out to the separate. So it's just a monumental job. It's going to last forever. Yeah. We just come from about 10 to noon, and then we usually go have lunch. Yeah.
Says healthy something, is he supposed to have this one?
Now here I happen to have a gentleman that was on the city council in Erlanger for how many years?
From 1970 to 2000.
My goodness gracious sakes
I was
alive.
a mayor pro tem for a couple of times.
And your name is?
Hahn, H-A-H.
Paul, right?
Paul Hahn. That's my
Paul.
wife is talking to today.
What's that now?
My wife is talking to when you told her you was going to
Oh,
come.
is that right?
Pat, yeah.
I'll be
Pat
done.
Hahn.
Well, how wonderful. Well, God bless you. I look forward to singing tonight.
Yeah. Pardon?
I look forward to singing tonight.
Good. We'll be looking forward to having you.
TBNK is going to be here filming this for cable TV. It's a wonderful experience. I wanted to put it on my YouTube channel.
You have a channel?
Yeah, YouTube channel, and it's on. We'll get this loaded up there too. And I taught at Erlanger.
Started there?
Yep, started in Erlanger.
I guess Lucy is,
Granddaughter.
Yes, she gets ready.
can't believe you.
We're ready to start our meeting. Are you ready? We open our meeting with a moment of silent prayer. And I always ask, please say a prayer for our country. We need it desperately. And whatever other purpose you may have in mind. Thank you. Okay, will you
Amen.
say pledge allegiance to the flag with me, please? I pledge allegiance to
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our secretary report, please. Mr. Ed Hahn. Well, we'll skip over you for a minute. Pat, do you have anything for treasurer report?
Well, I've got, next month we will have our quarterly, full report. But I haven't gotten the March statement yet. But we have $3,881.57 in our checking account. And this month, Ancestry was due, which is $229. And then we had to buy paper and supplies at Staples, and it was $109. So those were our two expenses, and that's our balance.
Thank you. Are you ready yet, sir? No? Okay. We'll get back down. I would like to welcome some new faces I see here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, I could introduce myself. It's John Stephenson, the old country politician, as they would say. I thought I was the only politician in the family, but unfortunately for my little niece, she must have picked up the germ, because she's running for state senator over in southern Kenton County, Grant County, Scott County, and Florida Fayette, in the seat that Damon Thayer just checked out of. And she's a good Christian girl with 4 children. And I said, "Why are you doing this?" She said, "Uncle John, you were the last one elected from northern Kentucky, and over 70 years to a statewide office it took you." She said, "I'm going to try to do it on the first try." And so she's running, and I got a couple little cards here about her, and she's a wonderful young lady, a school teacher like I was, and in Scott County, and of course part of the Bingham family, Bingham Beach family in Grant County, and of course my sister Mary Ruth. You all probably heard her sing on my channels. The Robinson family singers. They traveled all over the United States with 4 Greyhound buses and 2 semi-tractor trailers, making their complete living singing country western and gospel music. And they still are singing. My sister's 87 years old, and she is the greeter at Walmart in Carrollton. So if you ever go down to Carrollton, you'll get greeted by Mary Ruth Robinson, who's 87 years old, singing some songs to you. And I've been thinking about going down to the Walmart in Fort Wright and say, "Do you need an old man down here?" But I grew up around here. Paul Hahn, of course, was a council member in Erlanger back when I taught school in Erlanger. I was president of the Education Association in 1970 and taught there and taught advanced government and American history. And it was one of the greatest pleasures I ever had in my life. And of course, my sister Barbara taught in Erlanger and lived and went to San Henry's and lived in Erlanger all her life, and taught for 30 some years at A.J. Linneman and at San Henry School too. And so it's an honor and a pleasure. Now, I will have to tell you the total truth. I married a girl from Elsmere, my first marriage. And I was a song leader at a little church up here called the Church of Christ when Brother Don Wells was a minister there. And I lived at 120 Garvey Avenue up on the 2nd floor. And it was an honor and thrill to be a part of Elsmere and live in Erlanger too, which I did, and had the 7 Mile House up on Dixie Highway. A lot of you will remember that. And it's now the 7 Mile House garden area. And I donated that land to the city of Erlanger so that they could build that. And I just had to say that I was so thrilled to see that they turned it into something that was a very good garden spot that a lot of people can have good memories with. So I'm tickled to be here tonight with the honor of singing for you before the presentation. This young fellow that's filming for TKR has done a good job. He's an excellent filmer. He films our Optimus Club with the candidates, and they do a beautiful job, and you'll get to see it. And I want to remind you also, don't forget, they show my Santa Claus shows on TBN cable every year now for almost 30 years. I've done the Santa Claus Education Series and the Santa Claus Entertainment Series. And you can still see me walk all the way from Florence, Kentucky to Covington as Santa Claus, and for the Needy Kids Christmas party. So nice to be with you here tonight. My wife is at home. We're both a little ill. I just got out of the hospital 30 days and under home health care. But I decided, even though I had the cardioversion on the pacemaker yesterday, I decided I could not afford to miss coming here to be with the Historical Society for such a great project as this is for the station, the train station in Erlanger, Elsmere, Kentucky. I am so proud of you all for standing up with it, for being a part of it as history, and I wish you the best of everything in doing so. It's an honor to be here with you and be a part of this.
Thank you. And these are not new faces, but we're glad to see you tonight. And I believe we have another new face right here.
Hi, Craig Stevens. Grew up in Erlanger, been gone about 40 years, and find myself back very interested in Erlanger history. Glad to be here. Glad to
Do we have
know that
any
you're
more
doing
new
this.
people?
Oh, she's not new anymore.
anymore?
No.
I don't know.
But you're not new.
No, not by any means.
I knew her when we were all kids.
Where weren't we?
Okay.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Meeting of 03/14/2024. Those in attendance were Betty Rosman, Ed Von Eyck, Joanne Barnett Smith, Pat Hahn, Paul Hahn, Mary Blyer, Susan Willis, George Snyder, Janine Kreinbrink, Andrew Lutz, Will Ann Stengel, Bonnie Davis, Jim Davis, Pat Butcher, and Paul Ducey. At 6:30 p.m., Betty opened the meeting with a moment of meditation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Betty read the minutes of the meeting of 2/08/2024. A motion was made by George Snyder to accept the minutes as amended, seconded by Mary Jane Blyer. Betty talked about the upcoming meeting on 3/18/2024 at the Elsmere City Building to hopefully get some input for the Elsmere book. Joanne mentioned that the meeting would be recorded by TBNK unless we choose not to do so. Pat reported that the Dunbar School highway marker has been put on hold. She also suggested that we might want to put up a booth at History Day event, the History Day event. Discussion was postponed. At 7 p.m., the meeting's program was opened. The topic was the history of the Ramage Civil War Museum that was located in Fort Wright. The presenters were Janine Kreinbrink and Ed Von Eyck. Ed opened with a short history of the siege of Cincinnati in September of 1862. Janine then presented a very interesting talk about the archaeological work on the site and the development of the museum on the store property. She had many images and maps, and everyone seemed to enjoy the program. There were many questions and comments from those in attendance. The program finished around 8:30 p.m. Respectfully submitted by Ed Von Eyck.
I have a correction.
No.
Well, it's not George Snyder, it's George Schreiner. So, are there any other corrections or additions?
That's why I ask everybody when they sign it to print. It saves all that kind of confusion.
You got it?
SCHR.
EINER.
Would you like water? Would you like me to get you water?
I'm fine.
You sure?
Yes.
If not, the minutes
Thank you.
getting approved is corrected, then all correct.
When I get up there to sing, will you hold my camera? I'll have it
I'll
run.
have Jim do it.
Okay, I'll have it running already.
Basically, we had tried having a meeting start at 6:30 to read our minutes and that before the program, because after the program, everybody tends to want to stand around and talk and discuss it, and we don't get nothing done. So we've gone back, we will have a meeting at 7 o'clock. So the people that want to see the program also have to listen to what we're doing. So the meetings will now officially be at 7 o'clock, and the program will start as close to 7:30 as possible. Under old business, we had a open meeting in March at the city building, and wasn't very successful. We only had 2 outsiders came. So anyway, just wasn't successful. What the meeting was really about is that we were trying to get people interested in contributing to the book, the history book that we're trying to write. And we still would like to have pictures, or the final chapter in the book will be about memories. And we're asking people if you would like to share some of your memories of either when you came to Elsmere, or why you came to Elsmere, or growing up in Elsmere. Everybody that's still here must have had a good time growing up, because they're still here. So we would like to have that to go into the book. I think it would be very interesting. And we're still working on it. It's still a work in progress. We still could use anybody that would like to come. We're at this building every Thursday morning from 10 to noon. And there's always something that needs to be done. We've always got some sort of project running. And any questions about the book, or does anybody have any comment on it? Okay. That's where we stand right now. Any other old business to come before the board? Okay. And under new business, we're planning on taking part in the History Day at the Kent County Library in Erlanger. It will be May the 4th. What's the time on that, Pat? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It starts pretty early. I think the first talk is like at 9 o'clock or something, isn't it?
I think it's from 9 to 2.
I know it ends at 2,
Okay.
but I'm not sure what time it starts in the
Well, I'll
morning.
say 9 to 2.
Something like
If you come early, you can go get your book and sit down and read for a little bit. We will have T-shirts and books for sale there, and we will have history, which we do have some pictures and stuff back there on the table that are pertaining to the program, and I think you'll enjoy the program. We also have discussed that we need to purchase a microphone. We've been using the cities, but I think the society should go ahead and buy one of their own. So that will be one of our next projects. And also, Pat mentioned our Facebook account. You should check that out, because it has pretty interesting things on there. And sometimes the discussion on there gets a little heated and a little fun. People put in their memories and things, you know, the way they think things should be. And of course, everybody has an opinion.
What is the Facebook address?
Just Facebook account. Erlanger Elsmere or Historical Society, both. Do you all have anything to add? don't think so. The only thing that I would like to add is if any of you go onto Facebook, go onto our Facebook site and just make a comment or say you're a member or something like that. We're not getting much
Feedback.
activity
Yeah.
on our Facebook page. And so I just think, I just wonder if maybe if, you know, some folks started adding some comments, if maybe we would get more, you know, people that would start looking, so. Just like the page.
Joanne,
8 to 4 on May 4th.
8 to 4.
Yeah, it's on their website.
It was ended at 2.
And it ends at 2, 8 to 2 on the 4th.
And I usually, I mean, they have some really good, seminars set up this time. I know that they're gonna do some things, about the racetracks, and they're gonna do, you know, there's, a really good, program going on, and I think those start like at 10. And so from like 8 to 10, people kind of look at the tables and, you know,
All the
things
different
like that.
historical societies in Kenton and Boone, Campbell County, usually have a table. And they have interesting things from their county and from their
Yeah.
areas. And sometimes you learn something that you didn't know before. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
And it's Derby Day, so you'll be home before the race.
Well, if there's no further business to come before the board, we will turn the program over to Pat Hahn and Missy. They're going to do
Is
a
John
virtual.
gonna sing first?
John,
Is John gonna sing first?
Yeah, in a
Now?
minute, in a minute.
Okay.
The program is going to consist of a virtual tour of the now defunct Erlanger Depot Museum. And before we get into our program, Mr. Stephenson has agreed to sing My Old Kentucky Home for us. The Derby week's coming up here in a few days.
It's already running.
Are you gonna stay right there?
I'm gonna get up here and sing. If you push the little tiny button, don't you have to push anything
Okay.
except a little tiny button down
With this-
below.
oh.
See the little tiny one there?
That one?
That takes stills while you're videoing. It'll video by itself. It'll keep right on video.
Just hit that when you
Just push
get,
that little one occasionally, which once in a while to get a still picture of me.
Okay.
But don't, as long as it keeps running, it's running. See up the top, they got the clock running. Clock's already running.
I see it, yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I sort of have to tell you first, if I look a little weak, it's because I just got out of the hospital. I was in there 30 days and had a pacemaker put in. And some of you all might have experienced that. But then yesterday, they had to go back in and rejuvenate the pacemaker. Cardiovascular, they call it. And so I was in the hospital for that, and I saw you all were having this meeting. And I told my wife, I said, Jim, now she's the smartest move I ever made. Anybody that knows me would know that. It is the truth. And she said, you cannot go, John. You're too ill. She said, you've got nurses coming here to the house today. And I said, well, if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'm going. And at 80 years old, Paul, we can be a little stubborn at times. So
Just a kid.
I'm here. Now, I tried to convince my daughter, you know, I got 3 daughters, 2 of them are from Elsmere, you know. Have you ever heard of the Smiths and the Pamela Smith and Holly Smith? You ever heard of those two girls? Well, that's two of my daughters, and biologically, and their mother was June Smith, and their adopted father was Don Smith. Now, how can a man get up there and talk about his former wife? Well, I'm going to tell you something. She was a daggone good mother, and he was a good father. Now, was all things perfect in the world? You know, listen to who? Jesus, right? When Jesus knocks on your door, it's the name of my television show called Are You Ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for Jesus? But we have to reach down, turn the knob, and invite him into our house, and then make a U-turn in life, as old Harold Pike used to say. But Holly and Pamela, and up here on 120 Garvey Avenue, I lived there, and went to that little church there, Church of Christ, when Brother Don Wells was the minister. And you know, I loved it here in Erlanger and Elsmere, teaching in Erlanger. We made history in Erlanger. I taught the very first African-American history class in a public school in Erlanger, Kentucky, in the Erlanger Elsmere school system.
What year was that?
That was 1970, and taught advanced government and American history. I used to take my students to the city council meetings with Paul there at Erlanger, and because my students were advanced government, they were seniors, most of them, and most of them were voters. So you could do that sort of thing. But I am so proud of you all being a part of the history of the train station, because I worked on the railroad for 3 years and was the secretary of the Brotherhood of Railroad Trainmen in Louisville Nashville Railroad. And my father was a 30-year railroader on that same railroad, and his father was a railroader that was crushed between two cars when my dad was just 5 years old. So we have a family of history. And when I took a picture the other day down there at the garden that they've made it into, the 7 Garden, I took a picture of a train coming across the bridge. You know what a thrill it was to me to catch that train and get that picture right there in front of the garden? I thought, boy, oh boy, the city of Elsmere, the city of Erlanger, cares about the history of their country and their cities, and I'm proud of you for that. And so tonight I sing for you the song that was taught to me by Happy Chandler. He poked me on the chest, and I was president of student government at the community college the year we got the 4-year college started, or Northern. And he poked me on the chest and he said, son, I'll teach you how to sing it, but you gotta sing it from your heart. So tonight, that's what I'm gonna do for you all, the Historical Society of Elsmere and Erlanger on the old station, railroad station, here in northern Kentucky. And it goes like this. Oh, the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the children at play. The corn top's ripe and the meadows are in bloom, and the birds make music all the day. Weep no more, my ladies, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home, far away. Now before I sing the last verse, I want you to remember, red, yellow, brown, black, or white, we're all precious in Jesus' sight. We all need to learn to do just what the chairman asked us to do. Pray for love for each other. Love is the greatest gift that God gave us. And we need to love each other, and we need to spread that lesson around the world, because there's no other country in the world that loves like Americans can love. And when you look at our history, history is the light to our future, and it's the pathway to our past. And you all, you're doing your job very, very well. And the song goes like this as we remember the children. Oh, the children roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times comes a knocking at the door, that my old Kentucky home says good night. Weep no more, my ladies, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home, far away. God bless America, God bless Kentucky, and God bless Elsmere and Erlanger and your great station, railway station history. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition of godly principles. We love you all. Nice to be with you. I just love you so much. Now this will be on my YouTube channel. Don't forget that little niece of mine that's running, Julie Jetta. Yeah, she's running for state senator, believe it or not.
Okay, Pat and Missy will now present our memories and pictures from the Erlanger
Should I stop it? Or
Depot Museum.
there you go.
Thank you very much.
Did the best I could. You did fine.
You want to, yeah, I'll use this one. Okay, so we're going to take a tour through the now closed Depot Museum. And, but first we'd like to give you a little information about the building itself. In February of 1874, it was one of the most important days for the city of Erlanger. The Cincinnati New Orleans Pacific Railroad would come through the city. It was owned by an Englishman, Baron Emile de Erlanger, who the city's named after. The first train went through the city in 1877, and this depot is the last wooden depot remaining on the Cincinnati to New Orleans route. Next. Mr. Steve McCarty of the Real Estate Department of Norfolk Southern, who owned the railroad in 1992, presented the Mayor Fred Thomas copies of a new lease to the railroad park and a deed to the 1877 depot. The stipulation was to move the depot 100 feet from the track. And the Erlanger Historical Society applied for and received the Kentucky Bicentennial Grant of $10,000 to move the depot. The city asked the Historical Society to form a 501c3 and help them create a city museum for the depot building. And so many people volunteered. The Tony Brown Construction performed the excavation. The Dries Company provided Alan Getz to be the superintendent. George Trimble poured the footer. Erpenbeck Builders did the plumbing and the electricity. Jack Gardner of CBBN was the architect and Jim Viox was the engineer. And all of that was done without charging a cent to the Historical Society. All we had to pay for at the time was the moving of the depot, which was $10,000. A group of men, Paul Hahn, Jim Owen, Bill Quant, traveled to Virginia-based Southern Museum to learn the color of the paint of the exterior of the depot. In 1895, Henry Sherwin and Edward Williams had the contract for paint for the Southern Railroad. And these men found that the color for the paint in 1905 for the depot was green and gold. And so that's what the exterior was painted. And the Lions Club and the volunteers from the Historical Society painted the museum. Now the city did just repaint the museum because it was in need of repair. So we're happy about that. Yeah. In 1994, the Historical Society started raising funds for the Depot Park. To raise the funds, they started a brick walkway along Crescent Avenue. They purchased a flagpole and had a dedication of the Depot Park, the walkway, the flagpole, and they created a time capsule at the time. And the Historical Society received a $1,000 grant from the electric company for lighting on Crescent Avenue. Next. And Mr. Steve McCurdy of the Norwalk Southern put the society in contact with Joseph Newkirk, who was the head of the Norfolk Southern, to procure a caboose. And Mr. Viox headed up this engineering project, and Carlisle Construction moved the caboose from the railroad track into the park on a snowy Saturday morning. And all of that was done by in-kind service. Nobody paid a cent. A gazebo was built by Pat Geddes, and this was paid for by the Historical Society. And we also, many weddings took place in that. If you can see, it's all decorated for a wedding in this picture. And then there's the Amish train in the park. And that wooden train cost $5,000 and was paid for with donations. And now we're in 1995, and the Erlanger Historical Society received what was called an iced tea grant, and it was for $58,000. And City Council requested the City of Erlanger now take over all the maintenance, construction, museum contacts, and the park. So as of March 21st, 1995, the City of Erlanger was in charge of the museum park and the museum. And the Historical Society then just became the charitable arm of the museum. And this gave the volunteers time to catalog, provide displays, provide history. We did a history book, but the depot now was on the city budget, and they paid for all the maintenance and own all that property. And this is a plaque that has all the names of all the folks, and it's inside the depot, who donated all the funds to make this happen. And Dixie Viox and Betty Bush were the curators, and on Saturdays, they would, and at 5 p.m. on meeting nights, many Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops came to earn a badge. And so we had our own badge made to give each of the children as they did that. So now as we're walking the door, you will probably see this is the most valuable piece in the museum. The display case on the right-hand side as you walk in the door. It was donated to us from St. Vincent de Paul. One of the members was the manager at St. Vincent de Paul, and he knew they would have no use for this kind of a case. But it took 4 men to carry it into the depot, but it would not fit through the door. So the men took one of the windows completely out and brought it in through the window. It's a vintage jewelry case from a jewelry store in Hyde Park. And it has the vintage curved glass on either side. And when we were getting ready to do the inventory, the research on this showed that it was $15,000 for a case like this now. And then the uniforms, as you can see, stand behind the case. There are uniforms in the museum. I should say there were uniforms inside the museum from the Civil War through the Gulf War. And each one has the story and the picture of the person attached. That's the World War I uniform of the Shaven. That was a Shaven. So you see how small the folks were in those days. And then the next one is, yes. Now that, as you can see, it looks like there's just so much stuff. And everybody, I mean, lots of folks will say, you know, it's just too much stuff. But every item in the museum was donated. And when people donate an item, they really want to see it. And so it is kind of, all that whole case is just crowded with stuff. This section has the old tools, and it has Stringtown on the Pike book by John Uri Lloyd. And it has local businesses like an ice pick from Dusey Brothers and a calendar from Boone Kent Lumber and cards and chips and costume jewelry. And this case has a nurse's cap from Mary Kay Bell, who was a charter member, And she retired from the TB hospital down in Fort Wright, which was Dr. Farrell who opened that. And the red book is the Bible of Father Kolb, who was the first pastor at St. Henry's Church. And there's also a first edition of Gone with the Wind. And then on the far left are the World War II memorabilia. Next one. Okay, and in this section you'll see the Erlanger High School before it was named Lloyd. That's and the St. Henry High School sports jackets. And there's kitchen utensils, and on the top shelves there's World War II ration books and S&H green stamp books and ration stamps. I think maybe some of you may remember all that. And then we have a sports corner. This basketball was donated by Tubby Smith, a coach at the University of Kentucky. And there's lots of Cincinnati Reds memorabilia. One of our charter members was Mary McClure, and she was the secretarial general manager for Bob Howsam and Louis Nippert during the Big Red Machine. And Mary had so many items that she donated, and he had many funny memories to share about those days. And this is the fire and police case. This case was donated by Village Square, and it originally was a case in Knapmeyer Drugstore for Mr. Milner's jewelry. And this was the first piece that was donated to the museum. It came from the Covington Courthouse, and it's a bust of Mr. Hallam. Mr. Hallam was a lawyer and a great orator, and upon his death, the Bar Association had this bust cast, and so when they heard we were opening a museum, the city of Covington donated that to us. And this is a picture of the visitors on Saturday afternoon at the depot. We only volunteered one day a week when the museum first opened, and we would open the museum. The Historical Society opened the museum from noon until 4 every Saturday. Now, the picture there is of Mr. Russell Victor. These were newspapers that he did a local newspaper in the late 1940s and donated all of those, the family donated all of those to us, and we had them laminated. Now you see that window behind the dress there, that was the ticket window, and the railroad clerk would sit inside and the people would purchase their tickets from outside. Then you'll notice we had a ball cap collection, and the outfit was an outfit donated by Mary Gertie Slater, and that was her honeymoon dress. And this is the children's corner, and inside are the items. Inside that armoire is all of our materials that we sold: the T-shirts, the note cards, the Afghans. That was our closet. And hanging on the outside are bathing suits donated by the Erlanger School Superintendent, Edgar Arnett, who said he wore those.
They were made of wool. They were made of wool. Very
And this is the wedding. We have many wedding dresses, but this is the one that was the Thelma Stetter Owen wore this wedding dress. And on the wall there, on the shelves, hangs a letter from a Civil War general thanking the women of Erlanger for feeding the troops as they marched through the city of Erlanger. And that's a picture of Thelma Stetter Owen. And this is the Civil War display. It contains uniform jackets, and the bonnets that are in that case were donated by Terry Collis, and they were in his family since the 1800s. And there's photos of the slave quarters that was donated by Patty Sutcamp, that from her family had taken those pictures. And then a gentleman came and did all of that for us, the HO train display. And this was a donation of 240 copies of Railroad magazines by Dr. James Kelly. The books were used by many train buffs. On Saturdays, lots of folks would come and do research out of those books. And if you notice, there's a large tobacco display to the right of the books. Now, this is in the train room, and it's just cluttered full of Southern Railroad memorabilia that many people who worked for the Southern Railroad donated to us. And there in that first picture that he has the black frame, that's all about the first day that the train went through Erlanger in 1877. And this is the there are framed trains, and the trunk belonged to Thelma Stetter Owen. The Owens family owned Forest Lawn Cemetery, and Mrs. Owen traveled to Europe often and used this trunk. On the top of the trunk sits her French ivory handled set. Yes. And can we go back, or no? There, the coat there is from Henry Carter, who had Carter's dry goods store, and he came to the museum often and spoke to us about his trials and tribulations in the Holocaust. And he donated this coat, and it's a leather coat, and it was the coat that he wore to come to the United States. And these are the hats and gloves donated by Dell McNay. Her husband owned a Boone Kenton Lumber, and Dell was noted in Erlanger as being a fashion plate. So she had all these beautiful things that she donated to us. The community center, the mayor decided that they would close the Depot Museum, and the plan was to open and renovate the depot to a community center, but council would not approve the funding. So there's no plans that we know of for the 1877 depot at all. And now these are just kind of some random photographs of Heritage Day. We'd have the flag raisings and the horse and buggy. Paul Dusing was always our MC for a Heritage Day. There's Betty and on the left, and Diane in here tonight, and they're just having some fun at the boards that were set up so that people could take pictures. That's the crowd. We always had a good crowd. And you know, we started this in 1992, and our last Heritage Day was like 2020. And only 2 times out of all those years did we ever have rain. It was always a sunny, nice day. Those are the girls doing their samba dances. And all of the kids would come and do their performances. That's Lloyd's band, who would come each year. That's just our advertisement for Heritage Day. Now that was the room where we did all of our social activities. That was a Christmas party. And every year at Christmas, we would have a Christmas display in the park. And that's the big tree that sits in front of the depot. And we'd have Santa and Mrs. Claus. And that's my grandson sitting on Santa's lap. Isn't he cute?
Amen.
That's all. And we did the Erlanger Elsmere Images of America Arcadia book. And that was at Borders, where we did a signing. And we also did a history of Erlanger, which was called Buffalo Trails in the 21st Century. And the Erlanger Historical paid a small stipend to Wayne and Debbie Oggs to create that book, and they did a fantastic job. We used to do library presentations, and this was one we did when the 1940 census became able to go on to Ancestry. And so that's what that was that way. And this is Mr. Fred Johnson. He was a great-grandson of the French family who were slaves for the Timberlake family. And when the slaves left the plantation of the Timberlakes in 1861, one of them took the bells from the Timberlake sleigh. And the French family members came to Erlanger and joined us for lunch one year and brought these bells to show us. And do you remember when we had Grilling with Tim? And this was one of the members won the Grilling with Tim night. And so we had a big party in the park. Now, this is Summer Depot Days, each Tuesday and Thursday from June 6th to July the 27th. It was like every year, the Erlanger Library and the Erlanger Depot Park would have free lunch, and that was provided by the Erlanger Elsmere School. And they had that in the park during the summer. And this was like the biggest event because they brought a cow in that day. And this was the highlight of 2010 when we had a visit of Mrs. Minnie de Erlanger Churchill, who was the granddaughter of Baron Frederick de Erlanger. And if you'll see that one, and then there's the next one, we had a dinner at Quality Inn that night. And this is the Erlanger Historical Society, depot sign. The depot is on the National Registry. We had a grant for $5,000 to research the Erlanger proper subdivision and the Erlanger Depot. And we were recognized through the Federal Department of the Interior, and so it is on the National Registry. That's just the picture of the depot and the park. And this was made by the volunteers for, so we are still monthly putting things in there about the organization. We received a $60,000 grant to renovate the 1936 Southern Railroad caboose. And Jack Shaban was the one who basically got this grant. He went down to a place in Latonia called Progress Rail just to see what the cost would be to celebrate our 25th anniversary of the society. And when he was there, the man said to him, "We do a once-a-year donation. And let us come look at what you have, and maybe you can apply for that." And sure enough, we received it. So it was completely renovated. And the firemen of Erlanger, he had this donated to us to thank volunteers. This was the Centennial quilt. If you were part of organizations, you may have remembered this, but we notified all the organizations in the city, and they each did a square of the quilt, and then we had a lady who put that all together for us. And this was our last grant. We received this from, I don't know if y'all know, but when you fill out your taxes, there is a check place where you could say, "I want money donated to the Historical Society of Kentucky." So the Kentucky Historical Society, with those funds, gives grants each year. And so that grant was received for a preservation. And so it was to, do all of the all the papers that you need to keep things from getting mildewed and all of that type thing. And that's the way the depot looked before we moved it. So thank you all.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
I think we're gonna have a lot of people, when they do see this on PBAK, they're gonna be so surprised, because I've learned a lot tonight. That was very, very educational, and I didn't know half of that stuff was even here. Because I never got to go to the depot when it was here. I never got to go in it.
Well, and unfortunately,
We went in
the depot was empty. They put all the items in there in storage with the anticipation of doing it, of bringing it back, but that's never happened, as you heard. The city didn't give the money, and, so when they went to close it, they informed us that there would be no room for us, the Historical Society, in the depot anymore. So we contacted the city of Elsmere and basically had asked them to begin with if they had a closet or a small room that we could at least bring our file cabinets to. And the mayor graciously said, you go over to the community center and talk to the Carol over there. He said, I'm sure there is a room over there that you all can use. So we're expecting a little tiny office, and we came and Carol said, there's no reason why we cannot move the exercise room out of this room and you can have this room. So the city of Elsmere very graciously stepped up and accepted us with open arms, and we're doing our best to live up to their expectations.
Which
Well,
are very
and
high.
I mean, you know, the city of Elsmere has been so gracious to us. I mean, they allow us to use this room. We've got our office up there. Everybody has been so kind and so nice to us. I mean, we really appreciate it because
We made a comment that we would like to
not
have-
have been able to continue our mission if that were not true.
We had made a comment that we would like to have the TV, which was back here on a table, put on the wall so that any presentation the people could see. Well, not only did they mount it on the wall, they got us a bigger, newer one with a sound system.
No,
And it's not,
wonderful.
it's not what you know, it's who you know. Right, Betty?
Right.
It's who you know.
Yeah.
And the
And,
city of
you know,
Elsmere,
this all belongs to them.
Yes.
I mean, it's just really been,
everything here, it can be used with the Historical Society as long as it's in this building. We all can use anything in it to presentate and let people know that this organization is still going on. We need more people to come. We need more people to explore what we have, because the days are going by.
yeah,
We're not gonna get them back.
yeah.
So, you know, anything you have, any stories you like to share, please share with our people. These young people need to know our history. I have never been in that depot, and all the pictures and stuff, I wish I did.
Yeah.
I love history. I've been doing genealogy since I was 18, and finding things out is awesome. To know where your roots are from, and it's like, what kind of stock you're made of, and what can you do for the rest of it to make your city and your family better.
Yes.
And we have so much to learn from the older generation that is disappearing.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna be able to get any of that back, and we wish that we could help you more. And we're trying to get you more exposure and stuff, and we want you all to keep going and stuff, and hey,
We intend to.
that's it.
Amen.
I can't understand why they closed the depot. I mean, and they were gonna make it
If you know the
I
answer,
don't
let us know.
Please?
If you know the answer or find out the answer, let us know.
They came to us.
I mean, all the good that you did, and the fun things, and and, I mean, you are the depot,
Yes.
really,
Yeah.
you know? I just don't understand that.
We didn't either.
You know, and it was not done in a kind manner at all. I mean, it really wasn't. They came to us, and told us we had 1 month.
And now it's sitting in,
And now there it sits.
it's just
But
like,
at least they
it's like Coney
hand-painted it.
Island, why?
I
You
mean,
know,
we
it's
had no
just
idea.
Everything, you know, it's just sad, it's
Did
really
they paint
sad.
it, did they paint it the historically correct? Did they paint it with the original paint scheme?
No.
No, they painted it white.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they
so.
painted it black and white.
Well,
But
I
at
don't
least
think
it's
they-
painted.
Right, at least it's protected.
It's protected. That, I mean, I would hate to see, you know, because it could all mold and just be torn down. That's what worries us, is that at some point, will they just tear it down?
John,
Well, I just was going to say, it's